Today, I'm gonna share with you guys 5 strategies to help with impulse eating. So as a goal of yours, it may be to get into shape, it may be to lose fat, it may be to feel better about yourself. And one of the biggest ways that you're going to do that is by learning to be in control of yourself around food. So maybe you're struggling with this, maybe you have struggled with it, maybe you do really well for X amount of time and then you fall off, all of a sudden you find yourself falling back into old habits, and you just don't have a grip on how to control yourself around food and how to manage your impulses. And impulse control is a big part of how you're going to do that, and this is what we're going to talk about today. Let me remind you guys too that I've been in your shoes with this, and if I can learn how to control it, so can you. Prior to my journey, I was obsessed with sweets and candy. I mean, shit. I still am, truthfully. I just have a better impulse control and mental discipline to stop me from following through on the impulse. Let me tell you this too, it will take you time, practice, and dedication to your goals. So don't get mad at yourself if one time you mess up, don't beat yourself up, don't tell yourself you suck, don't tell yourself that you're a failure, because that narrative in your head, you're going to start to believe it, and you're just going to stay stuck in that low energy and that low vibe, and you're going to stay stuck and letting the impulses control you rather than you controlling the impulses. And so when you do mess up, and it will happen, give yourself grace, get back on track the next day, don't let it spiral. You have the control of going about the day how you want to. Failure or mistakes is all a part of your journey, so just remember that. All right. Let's dive into these 5 strategies to help with impulse eating. Number 1, and this is probably the most important one that you can do, and it's also one of the hardest. It's to be aware and to identify the triggers that lead to the impulse eating. So maybe you're somebody that eats when you're stressed or when you're bored. An example is like at nighttime, you're at the end of the day, you're tired, you're maybe just chilling out, you find yourself in the kitchen, in the pantry, and you're snacking on things, or like you're watching Netflix and like you're snacking on things that just aren't good. So identify these triggers that lead to the impulse. And then by identifying the triggers that lead to it, you can start to develop strategies to manage them. So for example, if you snack when you're stressed, you might start to find alternative ways to manage that stress instead of eating. But you have to be aware of this. When you're in the kitchen snacking, it's like, whoa, here I am in the kitchen. And I'm gonna get to this in a second on another strategy, but it's bringing to attention the awareness and the action that you're about to take. And then you may start to find alternative ways to cope with that stress or to cope with that boredom. For example, with the stress one, an alternative way to deal with that, it's like, okay, here I am. I'm identifying the trigger that's leading me to the impulse eating or wanting to be an impulse eater right now. Instead of going to eat because I'm stressed, I'm going to go on a walk and I'm going to walk out my stress. Or this is a really good one that I used to do. When you're bored at night, instead of going to eat, I'm going to go brush my teeth. Great. Because I personally will never eat anything after I brush my teeth. That just bothers me. The second strategy is plan ahead. So another way to reduce impulse eating is to plan ahead and have healthy snacks and meals ready when you need them. This is why I love tracking macros so much, because I plan my days ahead of time. So therefore, my whole day is planned and I have control of what I'm going to be eating the next day. And I'm going to share a little secret with you guys towards the end of this, how I still incorporate like treats and candy almost every single night. Anyway, so my healthy meals are already planned. So it's like a conscious interruption of like, oh, I could go get a burger or a bad lunch with my coworker Linda. Or it's like, no, I'm already planned my meals for today. I'm not going to go and do that because I have my meals planned ahead of time and I'm going to stick with it. And so this can help to reduce the temptation to make unhealthy food choices. Don't be tempted by Linda. So consider packing healthy snacks to take with you when you're on the go, or preparing healthy meals in advance so you have something to grab when you're short on time or you have bad influence coworkers like Linda. Another perfect example is, instead of being like, oh, I need to, I don't know, like run to Wawa, which is like a gas station. No, I'm actually going to plan, stick to my meals, prepare everything in advance so that I have something to grab when I'm on the go, or like a protein bar, which I love Condition 1 protein bars. They're so freaking good. And it's a great thing to grab with you instead of being like, oh my God, I'm 4 hours in, I haven't eaten, I'm starving. And then you just resort to something that's not healthy for you to get that fix. Third one, I just touched on when we were talking about number 1 with identifying the triggers, and that is practicing practicing mindfulness. So when you feel the urge to eat impulsively, try to take a moment to pause and ask yourself why you want to eat like this. Are you really hungry, or is something else going on? So I use the example of pausing in the moment of when you're walking into the kitchen, you're looking for food at night. You have to learn how to control yourself around food. Here I am in the kitchen at night, watching Netflix. I'm bored. I just had a really long, stressful day, and you find yourself in a bag of Doritos. Whoa, pause. Ask yourself, why do you want to eat this? Are you really hungry, or are you bored? And it's always going to be, more than likely than not, that you're bored. And if you are really hungry, but you've already ate what you're supposed to eat for the day, just chug a bunch of water. And then 10 minutes later, ask yourself, are you really hungry again? Or was it truly something that you were feeling emotionally? Okay, so practicing mindfulness can help you become more aware of your eating habits and make more intentional choices moving forward. It can also help you recognize when you're eating for emotional reasons, like I just spoke to, rather than actual physical hunger. So you could just be thirsty and you down water, like 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, that was totally an emotional trigger, as you start to learn all of this as to why you were hungry or feeling hunger. And so that practicing mindfulness can be an absolute game changer, second to identifying the triggers that lead to impulse eating. So it's like, here I am in the moment. Why do I want to eat? Am I stressed? Is it an emotional reason? Or am I actually physically hungry? Great questions to ask yourself, you guys. Always be asking yourself questions like that, because you're going to get answers right away, and it's just up to you to control the way that you're acting after that. So number 4 is find alternative ways to cope with negative emotions. Majority of the world turns to food to cope with negative emotions, but we know this can lead to unhealthy habits and unhealthy eating patterns, and we want to break that. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here talking about this right now. So instead of turning to food to cope with negative emotions, try finding other ways to manage your feelings. So I spoke to this earlier. It's like, okay, here I am emotionally wanting to eat. I'm triggered. Instead of the stress and I'm feeling wanting to eat, maybe I can have the stress and go for a walk, or I can go work out, or I can go phone a friend, talk to a friend, or I can brush my teeth. How can I replace this with something else that's supportive? And how can I release a negative emotion through going for a walk or through a workout and not turning to food to cope with this? And then the last one, which I love, and this is what we always speak to inside of WarriorBabe at first when we're coaching women, it's keeping unhealthy foods out of reach, out of sight, out of mind. It's so true. Like, if you have a hard time resisting certain unhealthy snacks, try to keep them out of sight or out of the house altogether. You're not restricting yourself here by that thought process. You know this does not serve you in the moment because it has control over you right now. You don't have control over it. So until you still get control over it, you have to just eliminate it altogether right now. So at the end of the night, when you're bored and you're watching Netflix, you're gonna be like, oh, nothing's here for me to eat, so I can't eat it. You know what I mean? And then this might also too help you to reconsider placing unhealthy snacks with healthier options. So like when you go grocery shopping, it's like, I want fruit, vegetables, whole grains, protein. I want this in my house, not this other junk. As you become more aware of this, guys, and you do these things, it's so gonna help you. So those are the 5 strategies to help with impulse eating. And if you start just breaking down at least one of them and start applying it daily and add others as you feel your confidence gaining, it's gonna just be a total game changer. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm going to apply all of these 5 strategies at once. No, like that's a complete recipe for failure. It's like, let me take one, break it down, apply it for 2 or 3 weeks, build a habit on it, and then I can add in another one and start habit stacking on all of these. Then literally, you guys, if you do this, and I ask that you do, and you take this action, you will drastically see a difference with impulse eating if that's something that you are struggling with. And like the next 2 or 3 months, if you do this and apply it, I promise you. So I'm gonna shut down with this for the video today. Remember that it's okay to indulge in treats occasionally, but it's important to have a healthy relationship with food overall. You have to control your impulses, and you have to control food. You can't let the impulses in food control you. And that's why, like I already spoke to this earlier, but I love tracking macros so much. Macros to me isn't another diet. It is literally a skill set that can serve you for the rest of your life. And so I told you I was going to share with you guys earlier, when I plan ahead, I always incorporate 2 or 3 pieces of Dove chocolate every single night at the end of my night because I'm able to fit them into my macros. And so that's enough for me to curb my cravings with candy. Like, I have an insane sweet tooth, yet still be able to be in alignment with my goals. When I allow myself this, it helps me from wanting to eat the whole damn bag. That's a skill set that comes, and the mental discipline that also comes with tracking macros. All right, you guys, that's the 5 strategies to help you with impulse eating. I truly, truly hope that this video has helped you, has served you in some type of way, and that you can take this stuff into actionable takeaways and apply it for yourself in your everyday life. That can lead you to the ultimate goal, what I just spoke to, of being able to have a healthy relationship with food overall and learning to control yourself around food. So if this has served you and this has helped you in any way possible, please share this and subscribe to our channel. I'll see you guys next time.